Yes, lads, I'm back. I thought I'd better do another video and update you. And I just logged in and saw I just zeroed my net worth again. So, since the last week, I believe last time it was at 76k. So, down about 11 big ones. And it's about 13%. So, I'm going to be selling gear at this rate because this thing better turn around. Because the aim is to turn this little puppy here into $1 million dingo dollars and beyond. In fact, not dingo dollars, $1 million Uncle Sam's. So yeah, we've got a bit of a way to go. I did have a little tracker on here which showed, your 5% towards your goal, and then that pulled back and it's now like 3% or something. But we're still positive, we're still optimistic. And yeah, still the same. Not much has changed here. So ZK, still the same holds. I've not made any changes to that. This little puppy's grown nicely because the AI trade has been in a couple of ETH trades. This doesn't reflect the actual wallet balance. This shows the equity. So I'll do a separate video on that because that is a little perler. Overall, though, it's just been choppy, to be honest. And you're going to get that because let's just say I'm outside the old risk curve. As you can see, 60% in high risk. So this little baby's got to breathe a little bit. This isn't your Bitcoin asset allocation and stables and all that. Where you see stables and low risk, that's actually allocated to a leverage trading portfolio as well. So this is a very high risk portfolio. And before I get into all this stuff, I want to show you why I've selected the main tokens I'm in. ZK is obviously the main one. They have, several working products. I'm not going to get too much into all this. I did see they released this recently, and I'm not going to get too much into the tech personally because I don't care. I know they've got a few things. I'm not going to get techie though because I'm not a 48-year-old paedophile. But there's plenty of videos on Twitter and YouTube of people talking you through how the private messenger works and all that, as if anyone gives a toss. The reason I give a toss for ZK is because it's just got fundamentals and the community are unreal. Same as INFRA. And they're actually partnered together, actually. And so are they, Moontropica. So let's not go into the portfolio performance because that's going to be embarrassing. We'll start with a couple of the charts. So these are just handy charts that anyone can look at just to show you the broader market structure of where we're at. And this is others dominance versus ETH dominance. So what this is telling us is the market, sorry, the altcoins excluding the top 10, which is what the others is, the dominance of that is valued in a ratio versus Ethereum here on high time frame. So what we can see is it doesn't take a genius to see that we just had an absolute all the way down only for since early May. And that's retraced. It actually reminds me a bit of the mantra chart. In fact, it's not as aggressive. It's not as down only as OM mantra. But same sort of thing. I guess one saving grace is it looks like this area here, whether we get a bit of a reversal soon or a bit of a temporary bounce maybe, where that gives us a bit of leeway for the shit coins that we're in, or the low caps. Ultimately, they're all shit coins. I love these tokens, but I'm not married to anything. Ultimately, there's a common aim, and I'll show you why I'm in these anyway. So if you look at those, that's a pretty good chart just to see where we're at. You can also combine that. This is total 100, excluding the top 100. So this chart, I mean, this is just dire, isn't it? This is, show me a more bullish chart. Those blue candles are down onies. So this means that this is the altcoin market excluding the top 100. So this is proper shitcoinery 101 because if this chart, if or when that this decides to reverse against Ethereum, that will signify to us that risk on is here pretty much because at the moment you can see it's clear downtrend against ETH. I turned all the indicators off because you don't really need them for that. It's it's not rocket science there. So when this one, we need to see a nice reversal, then we're going to see our shitcoins fly. And last but not least in this field, this is another one I like. This is similar. It's just total 3, or it's total cap excluding BTC, ETH, and stables, and that's versus Ethereum at the moment. So again, same. We're getting confluence between multiple things. So big sell off there. Obviously, just indicate everything points to ETH being strong right now. And people say, "Why aren't you in ETH?" Because I don't fucking want to be in ETH, and I'm a fucking retard. So my plan is to pick things that have held up well against Bitcoin and ETH. And ZK, let's just start with that. ZK on USD, fairly self-explanatory. I think this is just in a multi-year sort of accumulation. It's been, how long's that? 570, something like that. I think it was like 2 years. Not quite, but not far off. So against USD, it looks pretty good. It's holding up. I like these sort of. I mean, I don't look at this too much. I tend to just look at it on high time frames because doing TA on micro caps and stuff is just a fucking. It's a meme in itself anyway. But what you can do is certainly spot strong tokens versus Bitcoin because ZK is one of them. There we are. I was already on it. So ZKML, the custom charts are so useful. You can also use this on this. You can also just go onto CoinGecko for anyone interested, and you can just change the currency to BTC if you wish, and that way you can just see at a glance. If you don't know how to use TradingView or you don't give a fuck, you can go on here and yeah, you can just have a look, see what's what. I can't even drive this thing at the moment, but yeah, it gives you the price in Bitcoin, and then you can see, you know, I'm not bashing on INFRA. I love INFRA. They've got the V4 DApp coming out soon as well, so I'm excited for that because I think that could put in the low. I think the low's already in with INFRA. Some would say I'm married to it, but I just have belief in the team. Sometimes the charts give you no reason to be in something, and I was looking at something the other day that did a 90x, and there was no reason to suggest that you would have bought that thing. It was on virtual, so it's probably, you know, they'd have someone would have got wind of it anyway. But what I'm hoping is when Alex Becker shows all those charts with BNB, this is another example of what happened, and this is where I think, you know, with some things like ZK, where it was up and down like crazy, you know, 7x, and then it sold off just as aggressively, putting the higher low, and it's down 65%, and then it just went on this mammoth absolute tear. I mean, still trend line on that. No one's doing TA on that. But the only clues I'm looking for really with this stuff is spot things that are holding up against Bitcoin. So if we look, that's against, yeah, so against BTC on high time frames in percentages, we're still up against BTC because the situation and the environment has been unfavorable to say the least. Like we've been in an environment where Bitcoin dominance has just been, you know, it's typical seasonality. USDT dominance needs to fall off a cliff. Bitcoin dominance as well. ETH dominance is now rising because obviously that's on a tear. But when we see this, it's holding up against Bitcoin. It just tells us that potentially, I think Raoul Pal calls it a beach ball being held underwater. Because if it's holding up in this shit environment now, the chances are that it's gonna go into orbit when we need it to. Well, I needed it to about a year ago. But yeah, I'll give you a good example on that. Quant, and I'm not bashing on Quant because I really like Quant, and I've completely lost the chart that I had earlier. But this is a good example because Quant USD on high time frames looks nice, and yeah, you see it's all just vanished. But it's in a big wedge in my opinion, and yeah, I mean it's very subjective, but on high time frames in a wedge versus USDT, I just see this as a multi-year accumulation, big time. But then when you bring it up, like people with a brain will wait for it to go home on its Bitcoin pair because this is just like absolute arse end fell out of that. So I mean, you could argue that it's looking sort of bottomy here. It's potentially bottom, but what you want to see is something like ETH BTC, where that low is confirmed with, higher lows and change of structure ideally. If you have a look, ETH, don't know which one's my chart on this anyway. But yeah, you can see they've come back down, high time frame support, and then it's just rallied from there. So that's what you want to look for against Bitcoin. And there's a couple of bloody good examples of this lately. I'm not in this token. All my drawings have just gone. But yeah, at the end of the day, this is versus Bitcoin. But this is the sort of pattern that we want to be looking for, really, in my opinion, where the buyers, the sellers have obviously stepped in. It's just gone, it's zeroed itself pretty much. This is very similar to the Moontropica chart now, and I'm waiting for this with Moontropica because I think we're going to get this sort of reversal where the bidders step in, and then you can clearly see it's taken out this zone. I don't get too drawn into TA with it all, but it is good just to keep an eye on things and just see, because it's been clear all down only, and whether we do start to get some move, because this community is unreal as well, and you see them on Twitter, they're just relentless, posting all the time and just abusing people, just the way I am, just full on, which is good because I think that's what you need in any project. Like obviously the team and all the critical things are needed, but ultimately you need the cult behind it to make it happen. So that's the brief update. Infra, let's see. Infra's another little puppy, which I just mentioned. We can have a look at that one. I'm in GPU as well. GPU is similar, chart-wise, I mean. So against USD, we're still at the range lows. And I think this is, as I said before, there's no indication on this chart that tells me I should be, loading up. No sign of reversal as per se. But these are the value areas. People with half a brain that understand or have information will probably, I personally will be bidding this area along here because in the past it's always made sense. See that cup and handle, obviously it just bled out, but yeah, I'm very optimistic with Infra, very optimistic with ZK. I'm also considering doing a couple of different things with the portfolio overall, because this is obviously a very passive strategy and you can just leave it, let it do its thing. And I'm not going to update people and bore them to tears. Hey guys, absolutely nothing's happened, because that is just a complete waste of time. So I may just do, with a portion of it, trade shitcoins, or where I see setups present, I might just get positions that need or you see a setup for 100% move, just trade a range. Or I've had a friend that used this strategy last cycle and made a killing from it. Obviously you need patience and all the rest of it. It's just something a little bit different. I'm not going to be too hands-on with everything, but I am going to also mix it up a little bit, because sometimes a lot of the time, the best investors are the ones that do absolutely nothing. But the truth is, I'm not fully satisfied with a lot of the stuff down the bottom of the list. Like the high caps, it's all just sort of like all over the place there. And I want to have it a bit more concentrated. Anyway, I will give you a bit of an update in probably another couple of weeks or so. And I'm also going to do a video on the AI trader. My friend he started his account on the 1st of May. He's already exceeded a net return of over 70%. So the reason that's important is because if you would have invested in Ethereum before on the 2nd of May and you'd have invested in Bitcoin, I was doing this earlier, charting it, you'd be 9% up if you were in Bitcoin. And if you were in ETH, you would be 72% up. So these things, like these AI traders, they need to make sense. And the beauty of this is it makes money in up and down market. It's not a bot or any of this other bollocks like some people have. I've been in enough of those. I've got farmed many, many times in those things. They do not work long term. That is a fact. This one is very different. I've been in touch with the founders of this, and overall, so far so good. So keep up to date with everything, and yeah, be keen to hear people's feedback. Let us know in the comments if there's anything, if you think it's an absolute bag of dicks portfolio. Let me know. That's cool as well. Happy. Anyway, thanks for your time. Love you lots and speak soon. Cheers, guys.